we have it applied to the header in here, and that is exactly what you can see from this header, from the home app to this account. Now, if I click on this, because I have this pop-up because we have linked the JavaScript or the bundle.js file from the Bootstrap that we installed. So our dropdown also working here. Okay. Now let's go back and check how to work with the featured item. So we go back again, and now in here from the featured product component that we created, what we did here was we just have to copy what we have in the front page, because actually you don't have to copy it because we're not going to use a carousel for now. This is what we are doing. We have just a div class, a container fluid, and we have this. So you can see we are returning a featured product here. Now this featured product, we have this button as a previous button, click, and it's the same less than that we are using. We have down here as a greater than, and it's the same next button. So we are implementing our skip and take ourselves. Now here we are checking that if the featured item, if it has any, okay, then we're going to create a card with this and check if the card date is less than today's date. If item.date updated, okay, so add days, we want it to last for 30 days. Okay, it is less than datetime.now, so meaning that it has expired. Datetime.now. So if the date in there it is less than this, it means the date has expired. But in case it is not, I want to display this. All right, so this is what we can do. If it is less than today's date, meaning you don't want to display anything. But if it is greater than today's date, then you want to display new. So if it hasn't expired, or if it expires, then display just a badge. Okay, and then the badge returns nothing. There's nothing here. In case it is not, then display new. I'll display an empty badge. And now the next thing, display an image, and with the image, set the source to this item image. This is the height, and now this is the width. And also we want to have these styles max width and the minimum width attached to it. We have a product cover. This is going to be for product cover, and we set this the background color for this, and we also display the item name. Now you see we set as a class a child image. Now what are we doing with the child image? When you come down here, you can see that from the child image we have this product cover. This is a div class. We set the width, the font size, the height, the border radius, and etc. so we can display the name of the item in it. Now, if it is hovered, you want to set the opacity to 1. But in case the whole image itself is being hovered, then the whole image defaultly we set the opacity to 1, the cursor as pointer. In case this child image here is hovered, then you want to set the opacity to 0.5. Now, this is a child image. So any of the image that's going to be rendered from this for each loop is going to have maybe a class which is going to be assigned to any of the image, child image. Now, when that image is being hovered, you want to set the opacity to 0. 0.5, that is the half of it. Okay, so it becomes like blur or so. But in case it is not, if the mouse out, then display as 1, the full 1. Okay, so that's what we are doing, very simple one. Now, the next thing is how to implement the next button and the skip previous button. We need to use skip and tick. So here, with the code section, we have a list of product list, and maybe this could be a featured list. And when we run the application, we are calling this method, which is going to call the API from that's our server, return a list of products. From here, we set the feature to true because we want to grab all featured items. And here we don't even need to look to convert this to a list because it is not an R enumerable. So we can straightly use this and look through this. Okay, and I'll set it to add it to this product list. Aside from that, then you want to load data. So where from this load data? Now, when you check the definition for this load data, it is over here. You're going to apply the skip and tick. Now we set the page size. So the number of items or image that you want to display per is going to be the page size, that is 8. Currently, if I skip, the current value here is 0, tick is 8. So skip page size is 8, skip 8, and I'll take 8. So we create a list of featured product list. Now with this is what we are doing. We are getting the whole product list that has been rendered over here. Then skip the current skip, that is the 0, and I'll take the current tick, that is 8, convert to a list, and I'll give it to this get data. Now when you have that, increase this skip. This skip here, it is the counter, that is 0. Increase it by 8, that's the page size, because you've taken 8, then get the current skip count here. Now check if the featured product has data, clear it, loop to the list that we have in here, and I'll display it. That's to load data. So this method gets loaded as soon as the page initializes, and the retrieve product for getting from the API has been occurred or processed. Now the next thing here is to, if I click on the previous and on the next button, what should happen? Here we are checking that if skip is equal to 8, then return. Why returning? Because defaultly, as soon as the page loads, skip is going to be 8. Default skip is 0. As soon as the page loads, it's going to add plus 8 to it, page size, making 8. So if skip is 8, meaning it has loaded the default first 8. We don't need to go back, we don't need to go forward. Okay, so previous, we can't go to previous because it's 8, and that's the current one. But you can go to the next one. Now, if previous is clicked and it is not equal to 8, then we are going to get the next product by product list.skip. It's going to skip this page. The current value that we have for the skip, we're going to multiply the page times 2 from the skip, and to remove it, and I'll take the next 8. So if it is 24, this 8 times will be 16. So it's simple as 24. Then come back to 8. Then 8 is going to pick the next 8. That's going to be the previous one. Then we also do the same thing. We clear, we loop through, and we add. When next is clicked, then we check. So if the skip, the current value of the skip that we have, it is greater than the product list, it means we have to return because there's no data again. Else we're going to skip it and I'll take. Skip the current skip and I'll take the tick, that is an 8. Add to the page size and I'll loop through it and I'll add it. Okay. Now that's what we are doing. This is in part. Can clear this. And from this featured list, that is what we are looping through from this angle. Featured list. Now, once you're done with this, the next thing to do here is we go to the home page, and now we are going to create a column class of 12 and display this in there. So down here, we can make it as MD of 12 as empty 5. That's the margin top 5 to create a vast space from here to this. Call this component, and now let's run this application and see what we have now. Well, and you can see that it has now worked. So you can see we have it in here. We have these icons. Now, currently, if I click on them, nothing happens because there's no, the current skip here, it is 8. So there's no previous one, and I can't go forward. I can't go back. But if I click on this, what happened? I can now pick the next one. And if I click on it again, you see nothing also happens because the count of this is now greater than the skip count is greater than the product list because it added 8 plus 8 making 16. While this is not also 16. Okay, so there's an 8 plus 3. This is almost 11. So it is greater and it's not going to move forward. Now see, if I click on backward, it's going to subtract the 8 from it. And I can now go back again. If I click on it again, you can see nothing happens. And now this is working. If I hover the mouse, you can see it turns to the opacity here is 0.5. If I remove the mouse, it turns to 1. Check this is the product container. You can see we have it set over here nicely. And we have the product name displayed in here. You can add a lot of stuff in here if you want to do that as well. We're going to optimize it. So instead of creating or depending on one interface for the server and now the client, what we're going to do here is we're going to create separate interfaces for each. Okay. Now this is what we're going to do first. We go to our server side. Now in our server side, you can see we have our repository. And that is the interface definition. And now when you go to the shared library, you can see we have this contract, and that is what contains the general interface for product. Now with this, we want this to get limited or limit to only the server because the server is going to use this. We're going to create same for the client. But the reason why I am saying that is when you have your application, you don't need to be calling the API for retrieving data all the time. When the application launches or it gets ready and you retrieve the data for the first time, there must be a way to keep that data in order not to call the API again, unless maybe a delete or an update method has been erased or has been called. If not, data which has been received from the API must be kept and it must be utilized in the whole application. And that is the kind of techniques we want to implement in this. When we have our product categories and our product list, we don't want to be calling the product API all the time to get the list once we've had the list already. What we do here is, the first time that you receive the list, we want to cache it, store it somewhere, so that you can just manipulate the whole application with the list that you have cached. Isn't that beautiful? Yes. And you know, that needs a little bit of code to add. And that's the reason why I am separating this interface from the service. Okay. So with this, having this understanding, thank you. And now let's see. So I'm going to move this. Let's move this iProduct. So move yours to this repository. Okay. So you're going to see, you're going to have this iProduct. You're going to have this product repository. But as soon as you move, you must change the namespace. So let's grab the namespace for this. That's the interface. That's the implementation class. And I go to the interface and I insert the contract and then library. Just put in this repository. That's the namespace. It still remains the same. Nothing is changed. Still the same. Just that you've changed the location. That is all. So this interface, it is no more public. It is just limited to the API only. Now, let's come back to the contract. So once we are in here, we want to also move this to the client, because here, the service that you're going to create here is going to be used by only the client. That is a WebAssembly. So we don't want to put in something that is limited to the client into the shared project that the server can have access to without necessary needful for that. Okay. So we're going to move it. Now here, let's go to the client, and that is the Blazor WebAssembly app. So that is the client one. And we see from the service that we have here, let's also move a copy of this iProduct to the service. You see? And now we can now delete this contract folder. So as you did for the interface for this server, we must do same. So let's click on the client service. Let's grab the namespace in here. Let's go to the interface and now change the namespace. If you're unable to do this, please pause the video and roll back. And I'm trying to do it, okay? It is not something difficult. You can do it yourself. And I trust you, you can do that. Okay, so let's move on if you are done with this. Now we have our interface, but we have the same interface appearing twice from the server and on the client. So in order not to contradict ourselves, what we're going to do here is we're going to give it another name. Let's rename this. So maybe since it's going to be a service, I would like to put it as an iProduct service. So iProduct service. And I believe this will be suitable for yours too. Or you can also give it any name of your choice. As usual, you can even add your name to it if you want to do that. Okay. So let's change this to iProduct service. So we have an interface and we have a client service. But when it comes to the client service, you can see this inheriting from this iProduct. So definitely, you know what we're going to do, right? What we're going to do, just here, service. And that is it. Let's remove this folder or this namespace because it is no more available. Now save it. It is the same. Okay, nothing changes. The same. Okay, so that is the first thing that we have to do. The second thing that we're going to focus on here is creating our category model. So let's go to this models folder in the library, and I right click on the models. Let's create one more class, and it's going to be category. Now in this, you may decide to add more properties to this, but for the purpose of this video and making things simple for you and others, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pass in only 2 properties. Only 2, okay? So the first one is going to be the ID. As you know, in EF Core, when I try to apply migration in database, then we must have an ID as a primary key. So we have an ID. We are not going to concentrate much on the ID. What we need here is going to be the next one here. Then that's going to be the string. And here it is what? Category name. So in naming conventions, you have the category already. So do not say category name. Don't write category name. Just pass in only name. Because you know that this category is a model and it has properties as name. That is it, okay? So short names. It's fine. It's fine. So don't use long ones. Okay, so now we have this set. We have to establish the relationship. Now, let's say here is going to be a relationship. And now you want to have this one category may have a list of products. Okay, one category may have a list of products. So what do you think would be the name for this or the type of this relationship? I believe you've got it, right? That is a one-to-many. Okay, so let's establish our relationship. So we're going to say this is a list of, then let's pass in the model that you want to create a relationship with. And now we're going to say it is products. Now let's make this as nullable so that when we are inserting data into this category, it doesn't stress on to pass or to provide values for this product. So you can decide to skip this and it must work. Okay. So that's a relationship. And now let me specify this as one-to-many. I believe this is simple and clear to you, right? So one-to-many, I believe you know what it means. Let me add the O for you. Okay, so now let's do the same to the product. Now once we have this one-to-many, meaning the product is going to be what? Many-to-one, isn't it? So let's check down here, and here let's say our relationship again. And this is going to be many-to-one. Why are we having many-to-one? Many of these products are going to have one category, and that is all. So we're going to have, maybe we're talking about Apple iPhones, you have iPhone, you have 12, 11, 10, and etc. All is going to have access to one category as Apple phones. So that's the category, and these are the products. So many-to-one, and that's going to be for this. Now let's have our property, and in here we're going to say it is a category. We have to also set this as nullable, and we're going to set this category. And in here we're going to specify the relationship property, and it's going to be int. I'm going to say category ID. This are the relationship that we need. Okay, one-to-many, many-to-one. That's all we need. I believe you've understood this, isn't it? Thank you. Let's move on. You know, after doing this, you know, our EF or our migration has been updated, and we need to reapply it. So it can also create the same relationship using a foreign key and etc. So let's do that. Before we do that, let's build this project first. Alright, so you can see we have a lot of errors to fix, and it's about the contract folder that we deleted. So it means you have to get rid of all of these from the following sections. So let's do it. And when you check this, supposed to be iProduct, this is coming in from, let's check it out. So it is coming from, let's first check the client's program.cs file. And instead of this product, it's supposed to be product.service, product service, because you are making a reference to the client service. And also let's check the controller service, that's an API or the server service, program.cs file. And now in here, it must be iProduct, and that is it. Okay, but we have to remove this also. Control period, we can remove unnecessary usings or namespaces. Okay, let's go back again and now check the next thing that we can do. So it is here, right? It is, we have to also correct this. This is coming from the product service. So it is coming from our controller. So this is going to be a product, and we have to include the namespace in here. And I remove this contract folder. So pause the video and do all these cleanup, and we can now move on. Or you follow me, do mine as you also do yours. Okay, you do mine. I do mine, you do yours. So let's say aside from that, we can also check again which is left. All right, this is solved. Controller, they are all solved. Now let's try it again and see if it's going to work. All right, so mine is done. Is yours also done? Good job. Now let's see. So we are going there to perform migration. But you know, when you establish the relationship and you want to reapply migration, I suggest it's better that we clear up the table itself. So we don't have any error in that. So we go back, you see this migration folder. Let's remove it. And in our SQL Server object, what is even the name of this database? We say it is Demo Shop. So you go back to SQL Server objects. If you're not finding yours, go to View and you're going to find this there. Now in our server, that's our desktop, GT8. Now you can see from the database, we're going to have this as what? Demo Shop. And I'm going to clean this. Or let me just remove this. So delete. Close existing connection, click on OK, and it's going to delete that database and all records in it. So we're going to now create a new migration. So click on Package Manager Console, and first of all, add migration. And I'll give it a name. I normally use first. This is done. So we're going to we're going to perform a database update. So let's update it. I'm going to say that update database, very simple one. Yes, and this is also done. So now when we check our table, if I refresh the database, we must see our new database table added, Demo Shop DB. Now if I click on tables, I might see two tables now. No, it's still going to be one because we did not add a category table. Yes, I knew. You saw it, right? And you didn't tell me. Okay, so we have a category table in here. Let's see, but did we actually add? Let's go to solution. Let's check our AppDB context class and the server project. Go to the data AppDB context, and we did not, but we still have the table added. Well, maybe it's from the EF8 that we are using. That's the new one. So category, and now let's set this categories. Now, the name of our database that we created in the appsetting.json here, if I may find it, what is the database name that we use? And if I check this, it is Demo Shop DB. Now, if you check this, Demo Shop DB, okay, so we have the same table and categories. Let's see what we have. If I click on Open Data or View Data, we have this ID and now the name. And now when we also check our product, we also have same. We have the category ID set over here. And that is the relationship. Okay. Now we have this set, but I think we have this table added at the AppDB context. So I believe we have to do it again. Now let's see if this will work. So add migration. Update table. Okay, so we have the sets. So new name, categories, yes. So you can see it defaultly created the name for us, but we want to specify it our own name, create a foreign key, and that's what, as you can see. Let's make this work. So we say update, then database. So you know, one good thing about this EF Core 8 here, it is the EF Core 8 is even if you decide not to add the table reference in the context class, it still got you covered. As you can see, we had that and now we have it. So that's fine, but we want to do it in our own way. So let's close this up, and now we have this set. The next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to create our interface for product and also for the category. You know, we could have created one generic interface which we can inherit from the service, both the product and the category. But in order to make this simple and clear to you guys, I decided to use only separate interfaces and implementation classes. Okay. Let's focus on that. If you know how to create the generic, that is fine. You can also implement it. Maybe remind me in the next video, we're going to learn how to use this generic interfaces or generic repository in application. The next project we're going to learn how to integrate that. But for now, let's create a separate interfaces and implementation class for each. Okay, so this is outmoded because we have the C# version 12. That's the primary constructor. So we can use primary constructor instead of this to make it one line, very simple one. Okay. Now, maybe you don't know what a primary constructor is. What primary constructor here is a new one implemented in C# version of 12. And what it does is, these models here, or this class is going to be used or going to be available in the whole application, in the whole model, this class. So you can decide to put it on top here to make it available or accessible in the whole application. So that is it. So all classes that you want to make it available in this, put it in this constructor section, and off you go. That is a new improvement. And it is also a good optimization for code, making it readable and also simple to read as well. All right, so let's see the next thing to do. Let's go to solution. Now in the repo, we're going to create in our API. So let me close the client section first. Now in the data folder, not the data folder, close it up, come to the repository. And in here, we are going to create one interface. And even you can make a copy of this. We have this iProduct, so copy and paste. That is the best way to work fast. Copy and paste. Okay, so fast working mode activated. And now here we're going to say I category. So I category, and it's going to have the same thing. So I category. I know there's an interface, as you can see from it's an interface. And now here, instead of this product, it is what category. So take note, we have to make these modifications and now we can move on. For the response, it is the same. We can grab a list of this category. And now here, we need not to pass in any parameter. And let's change this to get all categories. Okay, so categories, I believe so. That's fine. So we have this set. The next thing we're going to do here is we have an interface. We have to create an implementation class. But we want to create one class for all. So although we have this I category here, when you go to the repository, we have this product repository. Let's create also a repository for this. When we get to the client section, then we can inherit from one class for all the interfaces. So right click on this. Maybe we can just copy and paste this, isn't it? So copy and paste it. The best way to work fast is to copy and paste. And I'm going to say this is going to be I, not I anymore. It's going to be a category repository. The reason why we say this repository here, it contains a definition for a specific method. So category, am I spelling it wrongly? Yeah, category. Okay, so that is it. Now this has to inherit from not I product, rather I category. Take note. So we make this change here, and we still inherit from the AppDB context, and from this we can copy this. Supposed to be category repository like this. You paste it. We can copy of this, and I believe that's all. All right. We have our AppDB context class injected into the primary constructor, as I've explained earlier on. And here, instead of add product, it's going to be what? So pause the video and try to correct these things so we can move on. So I product, I category, that's going to be add category, right? And we're going to have a category model. If the model is null, then return this. The same thing, right? And now here, check name, you can check model name as well. But in case it is not, everything is working, then we say categories.add model and commit it, save it, return. Instead of product, we say category saved. Very simple and clear. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do here is the same thing as getting the list of this category and get all categories, not product anymore. So we're going to say yes, we have it set, and there's this interface method does not contain any parameter, so we have to get rid of them. And if featured, no, we don't want to return any feature. We are not checking anything. What we're doing here is we want to return this with a category list. Category list, return it to a list or creating a list form and a return. So you can put it in one line. And this, I think, since it's just a one line of code, we can use this lambda expression. Okay, So it's also another way to make code clean and readable too. Very simple as well. So we have this, and it is returning this category.toList. Fantastic, we are done. Now here it is a check name, so it's taking up the category name. Now check from this categories. So AppDB context dot categories. I'm not getting this. Let's see. I'm going to say here category. And now let's say it seems like we are missing one closing, or we are having multiple one. I think so. Let's see, yeah, we are having multiple one. Control D. Let's see what we have. So we have this. We have to remove that. Yes. Problem solved. One needs to be added to get it closed. Control KD. Formatted well or saved. So dot categories, and you can see we have the pop-up, and on the first or default, so you can see we are checking up the name, and we check if it's equal to this name. You want to check and say that is that category being added already, or it is a new guy coming in. If it's a new guy, then return null. Okay, if it is not, return product already exists. And if you return this, it means that it's not going to be added to the database table. So return category is null. It's a question mark. If yes, return this. If no, then return product exist. Exist, not exit, exist. All right, so we have this set, and that is all that we need to do. So here, okay, so we have an error here. Let's check it out. Category, and we have the tags. What are we doing wrong here? It is saying that to implement this add product, and it needs this product. Add category, add category. The service tag of add category. You have this list of category. Check name is a private method. Save is a private method. Okay, so let's check this I category, and I can see, let's see which one is talking about. Add product, get all categories. Maybe that might be the issue. Get all categories, and still okay. So Control K. Let's implement this. Tag service dot add products. Oh, so it's supposed to be add category. Let's check this. So not add product, add category. I believe you saw it, right? Thank you for doing it before seeing it. Okay, now we have this, and I believe this is simple and clear, right? Okay, so if you're not understanding this, then maybe it's come from the base. Please check I think the episode 1 or 2 where we started with this. I explained them, and because we are making a duplicate of this, and I'll change the value. So I believe it's clear. Yeah. So let's save this, and we can now close it. So we have our interface. What we need to do next is let's create a DI between the interface and the implementation. So go to the program. That's going to be the server or the API program, and we can make a duplicate of this. And now instead of the I products, say what? Do it yourself. So I category, and now this is going to be a category repository. I believe you are done. That's fine. So we have our class created and injected. What are you going to do next? You're going to create our controller to handle this, okay, to create our endpoint to handle that. So, you know, when we go to the solution and I will check this controllers folder, we have products here. So the same thing, you know, the fast way to do is to make a copy. So let's copy this, and I'm going to say, so it's category controller. And now with this category controller, we can just copy this name and I replace it with this. We have our I category instead, not product. And I will say category service. Okay, so we grab this service, and now here get all. We're gonna have access to. We can put this in the next line. Then get all categories. Then we return okay with it. The same thing applies to the post to add category. And now this is going to be category and then the model. And we check if it is null, return this. But in case it is not, then here we go in for category service dot add category. And that is all. Our controller is set and done. Let's run this application and I'll see if the API is working, so we can try in some category data, filling it, and now check it up and see if it is working as you and I expect it to work. So what you see here, it is a UI for the client. Now we are not done with the UI, so we want to navigate you there. The other one, that is an API. So we're going for the Swagger. And there you go. We have our Swagger available. You can see we have our category endpoint in here. Now if I click on get work, you see we have this property that we did not removed. So let's quickly, I hope you've done yours, but I did not do mine. So let me remove mine. Okay, so I am done. Now let's see it again in case it will not be available now, in case this gets refreshed. But no, I'm not sure hot reload is working, so let me do it myself. So let's see. Now I'm going to navigate to the Swagger again, and now let's see. Yeah, I have it now. Now get category, and if I click on get it, I must have null, right? Did you get yours? Yes. Did you see this? Did you get the same thing as I'm getting here? Then good job. It means you're on the right path. So let's close this and now let's try to add one category and see. Good. So you can see from here that we have, since we created a relationship between the category list and now the product list, definitely is going to combine this as a model in order for us to provide data for it. Whenever you want to call, we want to post data to the table. But we can skip this. No reason why. We can skip this product model properties. The reason of being skipping this is when we check when we were establishing the relationship, go back and let me show you one thing. When you go to the category, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, so let's go back again and check it out. Solution, then check this category model. You know that we added this nullable. That is the reason why you can do that with it. In case we remove this, let's see what happens. So let's say this is off now. Okay, this is off. And let's see. So let's see, maybe we have a suggestion to make. Okay, so we have this set, right? Let's save this. Let's rebuild this. And if we try to provide a category, only category name without providing the products, a list of products, let's see the error that you're going to have. And after doing that, you come back and put that question mark there, making it as nullable. And we're going to also run it again and I'm trying to provide data. And I will check that one out and see what will happen. So you know what to do. The next time that you want to start a relationship, you don't forget to add that question mark. It was very important. Now let's check our Swagger. So let's add category. So I'm going to clear all this code because you are not adding products. You only want to add category. So let's clear this, starting from where we have this list, this array list into this. Make sure you move this, the trailing comma. And now let's say there's an Apple font. Do I say iFont? Apple font to be okay. Let's grab this. We're going to be pasting it again. If I click on execute, let's see what happens. Okay. See what happened? It's telling us that the product field is required. That is a model that it is questioned for. The product, you can see it is a list. As you can see here, it is a list. So it means that you cannot add a product, only product name. You must provide a list. But this time I don't want to provide the list because that is not the right time to add or the right place to add product, isn't it? It is. So then you want to find a way to skip it. And you can do that by putting on that Mr. question mark. So put on that here. save this. And you know what you're going to do? Right, let's rerun this application again. And now we're going to check and see if you're going to have the same suggestion or the same error code, or this time around it's going to work. Okay, so let's navigate, and in here /swagger. Okay, it's even there. Now let's check it up. I copied, right? Did you also copy yours? So there's no time to waste, right? So don't let us waste time. I'm going to paste this, and let's click on execute. Whoa, let's see. That's fine. That's it. So you can see we have category saved. Now let's go back to the category, get category, and I click on try it out, click on execute, and I see what we have. Oh, we have one data in it, and there's a one record. Now you can see from here that we have this product as null. Yes, we want it to maintain null, okay? Because we want this to get in connection with the category, and that's what we want to do. We are going to look at consuming category API endpoint in a Blazor WebAssembly commerce app. So you can see here we have a folder called pages, and that is where we have all our components. We want to organize it because, you know, when creating a package or when creating an app, organization is very important. If you organize your work, it becomes very easy or easier for you to identify a component in it. So you can group them. So we're going to create 3 folders, and that is what you're going to be using to group them. You're going to have a category pages. You're going to have other pages. You're going to have a product pages as well. So quickly, let's create these 3 folders. So we do that in the pages folder. Okay, so I'm going to create the first one, and here I'm going to say category pages. And this is going to contain all our category components. We're also going to have product pages. And the last one is going to be other pages. So all our share components can also be put in here. I'm going to say other pages. So I am not saying that you should use the same name for yours, right? You can give it a different name altogether. Okay, so in this, let's try to put this here. So you see there's an add or update product component. So definitely it's going to go into this product pages. So move into the product pages. And also when you have this busy button, it must be in the other pages because it's a shared component that we are using. If you check this, we have this busy button. That is this one I'm talking about. So drag this to the other pages. I think there's an issue here. You can see the add or update must be in the product like this. Okay, then busy button must be inside the other pages. I believe you're doing the same thing. Now featured product must be inside the product pages. And we have front page that is also, it could also be in the product pages. Okay, now message dialog must be in the other page. Okay, so we have our component organized. Now if I close this, let's say, so other pages featured product must be in the product. And our message dialog must be inside the other pages. That's fine. Busy button must be in the other pages like this. Okay, so that is what we need. Now if I close all of these they have this mother component that is a home .razor. So that's the parent component that we are using here. Now we have to change the references. So control period, let's include the namespace for this. So here we're using this phoneshop.page.product pages. This is where it's coming from. Okay, so we have it saved here. Okay, so I believe let's build it and see. In case you have any linking the wrong issue, we're going to have it popped up. So let's build this. We can only build the client section. So we see we have one pop-up and it's saying that the message dialog, it is not found. So where is it? Okay, so this one, we have to use control period and we have to use the namespace instead. So as you can see, there's a namespace. So we can just go up here, grab this, cut this, save. Let's go to the import and paste it over there. So that's going to be the import.razor. And now let's add it here. Okay, so we can also add the other two pages too, because definitely we are going to be using them. So pages, then dot, we have our product pages. So we've created our endpoint for the category. So we must also create a service to call this category from the API. So let's go in there now and do that. And when you go to solution, because we have a service folder created, let's add one interface, and that's going to be iCategory service. So let's go in for an interface in here. And now the name is going to be iCategory service. So in this is what you want to do. We want to add category, and also we want to get all categories. So we're going to add two methods here. So it is return a service response when we add, and I get all categories. So let's create an interface. So no, that's going to be the implementation class. So instead of creating the implementation class, you want to organize this in one file. So we have our client service. So let's add it here so we can implement this. So this is going to be iCategory service. Now control period, we are going to implement the interface of this. That is the two methods that we have added. Okay. So we have them here, add category, and also get all categories. So maybe we can put this. This is going to be categories. And now on top here, that is product. So as you can see, we have this method, right? This method are here. And maybe what we're going to do here is we can put this in one static class, so we can be using them maybe somewhere else. Okay, so let's do that. Because when we get to authentication, we're going to use the serialized and undeserialized content. So let's put it in one static class, and let's create a class here in the services folder. Now let's name it as, what name should we give it to? Generics, I think, or general, generics or general. Well, let's use this general because they're going to be general method that we're going to be calling. So this is going to be a static class. So static class means it creates the instance once and it can be used all over. It keeps it so that it can be used all over in the application. Okay, so we don't want to be creating an instance of this all the time. So let's make it as one, boom, and that's all. Okay, like a gun. All right, so let's cut this and let's move it into this class. And all of these must not be private anymore. They must be public. So we can have access to us outside the scope of this. So let's make them public. All right. So we see that once we have this, definitely we're going to have an error in the client service, isn't it? So what we're going to do here is, in creating a static class, you don't need to inject it. You don't need to register it or create a dependency injection. You don't have to do that. What you do here is just use the class directly in the application, and boom, that is all. Okay, no stress, it's stress-free. So let's say it's general dot, and that's all that we need. So here too, we need the same general. So in programming, one of the rules here says that do not repeat yourself. So we don't want to be copying and pasting all this stuff. So we put it in one class, as you know, and we can now be using it all over everywhere that we want to call it. So let's say general dot, and that is all. Okay, so you can see we have a simple class here, a simple method as well. So control period, let's remove all these using it because we don't need them here. All right, so we have this. We can also have another one. So here, instead of having base URL, we're going to say this is product base URL. Maybe some you like to prefer maybe using the product base URL and setting up only the API. Okay, so you can pass in the name and add, but I also like to store it here. So category base URL. So here, instead of the product, it's going to be category. I believe you're getting it. because when we check an API, it's a category API. Alright, so once you have it means that you have to make changes to where we use this base URL. So I believe you are doing the same. That is it. So we have it set and done. Now let's go to the add category. It is the same as this. Okay. So what we're going to do here is, I like copy and paste much because it makes coding very, it makes it easier. Yeah, easier than typing. So let's paste this in here. And now what we're going to do here is we're going to change this from what? Tell me. Yes, from this category, from the product to category base URI. So let's add it here. Now, I believe so. So here we're making a post. This must be an async because since it's a task, you must have an async to wait. And that is it. Okay, we also check our response and error. Okay, try again, the same thing. And, we have same thing here. So maybe this is what we can do. We can just, we have one class like this. We also have another one like this. You see? So can we do something to return? Or can we do something here so we can put this in one class? We can be calling this to check. Yes, we can do that. Let's figure out how to do this. So maybe in here, let's try to pattern something. There's going to be a private. And what is going to be the return type here? It's going to be HTTP response. So HTTP response. I told you that once you do this, you also optimize our code to make it very simple and clear. We don't want to repeat stuff. So it's return a response. And now here we are going to say check response. Okay. Now with this, what is it accepting? It is also accepting the same thing here because it is accepting the same response. So it is accepting HTTP message, response message as response. Then in here, so maybe we don't want to return this response. We want to return this service response. Okay, so let's make it as this private service response. And you pass in the HTTP response message, and now we can move this. So read response, let's cut this, and let's paste it here. So this response, when we check and the status code, it is, well, as you can see from this, it is not success. As you can see, we are negating it. So it is not success. Then I want to return this response. But in case it is success, what you're going to do, then maybe we can return true. Or we can return something like this. So let's see, we can just copy this. And let's paste in here. Else. So that is if the response here, it is in success code, then let's return here as true. And there's going to be, we can make it as null. You don't return any message. Okay. So with this, we are checking. So what we're going to do here is, let's copy this. And now we're going to say that since we're going to return this self response, we're going to say var and response is equal to. Now let's call this passing this response. You see? And that is all. So with this response, this is supposed to be result. Or this, it is accepting this model. As you can see, it's accepting the flag and a message. So maybe we can even say that flag and message. You see, so this is a tuple that we are using. Now this flag and message, we want to return this. So once we have this, what we can do, or maybe we can also return because then we have to return this response. So let's make it as results. So we can get all of them. Then we say if results, not response, the results dot, and now this result has a flag. So if this is true, then what you want to do, or if this is false. So if this is false, meaning it is returning this, okay, then what we're going to do here is return results. So this is a code optimization. We're optimizing it and we want to create a general so we can be using it all the time. So here we check, we call this, we pass in this response. It comes in and check the status code. Is it found in the status code? If yes, then return true. If no, return false. And now you are checking if it is false, meaning it is returning this. Then return the response here to the tags here, and that is all. But in case it is not, then we have this result in here, and now we are going to read it as a content. So with this too, we can also put this in one line. So maybe down here or here, we can say that it is a private and return a string, and we say read content. So this read content, what can we pass in? We can pass in this response. Okay, so let's pass in the same HTTP response message, and I will say this also response. So let's make this as response. And now in this, we are now going to move this. You cut this here, then you return it. So instead of using this, here must be an async. And you know that as soon as it becomes an async, it must be a task of, then you have to pass in the return type as string. So here we want to return this. Okay, so in order to do that, we can use this lambda expression to handle this. So let's make it this lambda, and I remove this. Okay, so Control KD, we format it well. So this too, we are reading the response as a string. So we just have to copy this. Then we come here and I will say var content is equal to, or we can still make it an API response. So API response is equal to, here must be an await. Paste in the name. Then there is a method. And now this method needs in what? If you check this, it needs in an HTTP message response. So you pass in the result like this. No, it's not response because this is coming as a service response. So you pass in this response instead. So you pass in this. You see? So we have two methods that we can be using all over again. All right. So now we have this add product is done. And we can copy the same add product here. We grab this and I will go to the add category. And in here, we can just paste this. Now let's go in and grab the category base URL, come here and I'll replace it. So you can see that we are using this general method. Now let's put this method down at the base so we can say it is a general method. So we say this is general method. So instead of repeating this severally, we are going to create it once, then we can now be using. So let's see, control period. This we can make it as a static. We can also make this, let's see, as a static as well. But since we have an async task, yeah, let's run it and see if it is possible. Okay, so it is now set and done. All right, so you see here we are done. That is it. We are done for this. Let's go to the add categories. That is the get all categories. So we can also copy the same thing from here. And now with this, let's paste this here. Maybe you'll be asking yourself, why shouldn't we check? Yeah, we can also check this. So this is going to be an async. But you know that here we are returning, you want to grab this and we are returning, check here, this is a task. So this task, it must be a task, a list. So you must have a list of products that we should return. When you check this, we are returning a list of products. So here must also be a list of category. So here must be a list of category. You can just grab this from here and now paste it. Okay. And with this, we have this product base and we are not passing any query string. So it's an API passing a product and this is going to be our category base URL. So that is all that we need. So you can see that we can still make good use of this check response. This check response, what is it doing? It checks it and I return a service response. So maybe this is what we can do. We can just grab this check response. Then here, we can just say that. So var result is equal to, we can now check response, pass in this response. Okay, and now see, if the response is in status code, you're going to return true. Okay, but if not, it's going to return false. So we're going to say that if result dot, no, that is this result that we have to get. So if this result dot, so flag. So this means that's going to return true. And now we're saying that if false, then we can return now. Okay, so you can see we are also checking out this. So if this result.flag is false, then we can return now. Or maybe we can just use a tuple in here as a flag and as message. So with this message, we are not going to using this message, so we can use this card to hold this message. Then we say if this flag, so let's remove all this. So if it is false, then return now. We don't need the message. That's why we're using this card to hold that. Okay. Then here we have this response. So result is equal to, now read content as string. So we're going to read this response in here. So we can also call this content, and I'm going to say result is equal to await. Then call this. And now let's pass in the response. And that is all. So, and now in here, we have to pass in the results in this to serialize it. And now since this is the category, we have to provide a T value, and that is a category. And that is it. So we're able to also optimize this. Now, what else? Let's grab this and also paste it to this. That's going to be the category section. This is going to be the product. And now in here, maybe we can paste it here and try to change some stuff in. So instead of this, the response, we're going to use this response. And that is all. So here we do this. And now let's change this to product. So instead of category, it's going to be product. And that is it. So you can see that both of these methods, or these four methods, are using the general method that we created in here. All right, so that is what we have to do in this. So do you know, even with the code that we have now, we can still optimize it. Maybe you're asking yourself, wow, what are you to do again? I believe all is said and done. Yes, although it is said, but we can still do it. Let me give you this scenario. You know that this application we are using a Blazor WebAssembly. So it means that the whole services are going to be downloaded into the client browser. And the app is going to run from the client browser. I believe by now you know what WebAssembly does, isn't it? I give you a thumbs up because I know you have responded. Just that it is only when the client needs the data from an API, that is where a communication must be created. The API must, the app must send a link to an API to retrieve the data. Now, when we create our product in our category, we're going to create a list. And now with the list, we're going to be calling the API. So anytime the app calls or the app wants to retrieve the category, it has to call an API. Even though it has called it initially and we have the data at hand, as soon as we view it, we discard it and we have to call it again. So let's say when you have 1,000 or 10,000 more people using the application, and each of them is calling the API one by one, you can see there's going to be a load on the API or the server. So what you're going to do here is, if it is not only delete or update or addition of new one, we don't want to call the API. If it is get, that I retrieve the list